On this episode of the Veteran Business Community Podcast, I'm talking with the one and only Andy Warner. Now, me and Andy go way back. We worked together at the Land of Milk and Honey, being Randwick Barracks in the eastern suburbs of Sydney many years ago. And normally I don't have a lot of good things to say about Andy, but in this podcast, I've got to throw him a bone because he started an amazing business called Veteran Workforce Solutions, which really focuses on helping companies, achieve some of these compliance goals around their veteran employment commitments and making them strategically poised to win contracts because of their veteran initiative. So really good podcast coming up. Have a listen to Andy Warner coming up. There, my name's Pete Liston, and welcome to another episode of the Veteran Business Community Podcast. Today, it is my dubious pleasure. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I have my old friend and colleague, Andy Warner, on board. G'day, Andy. How you going?
Afternoon, sir. How are you?
Oh, don't do that, mate. Mate, you just dropped my audience from 4 to 2. Calling me that.
We've got to
mate.
make it a challenge, right?
Oh, mate, don't do that again, ever again. So Andy and I have a real challenge with not insulting or degrading each other during a general conversation, but we'll see how we go, mate. And it comes from working together for a few years in the mighty headquarters 17 Brigade. But hey, less of me, more of you, mate. I always like to kick off. Whereabouts in the world did you grow up?
Oh, all over the place. I was born in Queensland, a little town out the back of where is it now? Where do we used to go? Rockhampton. There it is, up that way.
Yeah, the wheels were turning slowly there, mate. The wheels were turning slowly. Rockhampton. Yeah. Only like the 5th biggest town in Queensland, but you'll get there.
I know. It's easy to forget. Give me a break. Little town called Billawilla, an old gold mining town. Back in the rural 70s, I was born up there, and then migrated down to Sydney and pretty much kicked around southwest Sydney area. Before putting the uniform on and then bounced around all over the place.
How were you when you joined up?
18, I think.
Yeah. So young, basically straight out of school and into it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Mate, I've actually chatted to quite a few people from southwest Sydney, and it just seems like a natural thing, is it? I came from the Blue Mountains, which is close to Penrith, so I'm not trying to be like no eastern suburbs snob or nothing here. Yeah, but West Southwest Sydney, working class community, good people out there. Military is a good option.
Yeah, especially if you're not sure exactly what you're going to do. I mean, well, I was 16, 17, and the only reason I stayed on to do HSC was because I had no idea what I wanted to do outside. So.
Yeah, that's right, mate. So why did you want to join up though? Was it like family history, or is it just got no other options, or court?
Like I've often, since getting out, you reflect, right? And you take a moment to think, how the hell did I end up where I am at? And that first step is putting the uniform on. And what prompted me to do that, I have no idea now. 35 years later, I have no idea. I had an uncle who was a Royal Engineer, a Royal Australian Engineer. He may have been a big influence. He was my first father figure in my life.
Yep.
But apart from that, I think from what I recall, I just woke up and thought, stuff it. What else could possibly go wrong?
Well, mate, we're about the same vintage. I know I look at least 10 years younger than you, mate. But what are you? You're nearly 50 now?
That's why you don't grow any hair, mate. You can't see the grey. It's in there.
Just get rid of it. What are you now? About 50 odd?
Mid-50s, mate. 54.
Oh, mid-50s, mate. You don't look a day under it. But back when we were growing up, do you remember the dun 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 dun?
Oh.
And then the artillery ads. No, they were the best ads ever, mate.
No, the tank one was the better one, where he pulls that cooked lobster or yabby out of the creek from on top of the tank.
Mate, get them ads back. None of this sort of, just bring the old guns and, artillery and tanks. Mate, that's what I still remember that. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Do you remember anything about Kapooka or those first couple of months?
It's a bit of a culture shock, coming from living at home and then all of a sudden this bloke who's not more than a couple of years older than you're yelling and screaming and abusing. Well, no, it was a form of abuse, re-socialising probably a
Yeah,
better word.
socializing.
Yeah.
The,
It was a
the
bit of a
beatings
culture
will,
shock.
what is it? The beatings will continue until morale improves.
Exactly right. But yeah, look, I had a bit of a different mindset when we went through Kapooka. It was like, this is only a short period. This is not what the rest of the military is like. I remember saying to the blokes I was sharing the room with, I said, the best way to get through this place is just by keeping your head down, being a bit of a grey man, and you'll get out without a problem. That very day, I left my locker in Secure, where we used to store the SLRs back in the day.
Yeah.
That keeping your head down worked really well for Andy.
And were you one of these lads that chose to go into your like trade path, or did you get allocated it down there?
So I selected, first choice was Royal Australian Engineers, wanted to be an FE like my uncle. And then the second choice was going to Ramey, of all corps.
I'll tell you, Mate, bro.
Well, I was working on a theory that I ain't walking anywhere, right?
Yeah.
That grunt stuff, that's a little bit too hard for young Andy. So I missed out engineers, went to Ramey as a production clerk, and then got dragged across to Ordnance kicking and screaming.
So when the prod clerks used to be Ramey Cap badge, and then they changed them, like when they like infantry, what do you call it? Infantry QEs, and then they went across to Ordnance Corps as well. Oh, I didn't get that, mate.
Yeah.
The low bar of respect that I had for you was gone up slightly higher, mate. I never knew you were part of God's Corps, mate. Okay. So at what year through your career did they do the changeover?
I was at Tank Regiment. Would have been, they called it RAUC 95.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would have been about 95 I come across.
Sounds like Kanga 98, mate, or one of those
things.
Early exercise that you would have done. So RAUC 95, this was just a big, someone needed to get some post-nominals in senior headquarters somewhere. So let's just reorganize the corps.
Yeah, pretty much. Anything that had the term clerk in it was dragged across into Ordnance. And that's when all the infantry and Arms Corps QEs got dragged across as well.
Yep. That would have been, what's that like that? I've talked to quite a few, Skippy badges. Pretty gut wrenching to have that taken off you when it's a part of your identity. Not saying there's anything wrong with the Ordnance Corps, but it's just the change, and it's not part of who you are and forced to do something.
Well, it's your first corps, regardless what corps you're in, it's your first one you get into. So you've got a high level of esprit de corps for it, and then all of a sudden, that particular family that you had has now pretty much let you go to become an orphan and such. So I didn't really have much esprit de corps for Ordnance, to be honest. I looked at it more of a job as a group of, all right, as being a part of another family. My allegiance still lies heavily with Ramey. So yeah, I wouldn't use the term gut wrenching, but I was fairly disgruntled towards the corps for a while.
Yeah. What rank were you at the time?
I was only a digger. Well, not only a digger. I was a digger. I was just starting to do me promotion courses.
Yeah. Well, mate, that was so far ago. I'm surprised you can even remember. But you had a decent career after that. How long did you do roughly, all up?
In total, I did just shy of 25 years.
25. Mate, let's without going into too much detail, talk about some highs and lows. Get any good trips? Get any good deployments out of it?
So highs and lows, deployments. I got the quaddie, I suppose. Well, no, trifecta. I did East Timor in 2001. I did Iraq with 2CAV in 2006 and 2 tours into Afghanistan. So, I did the standard 3. I also got that, you remember this, Sermon Warrior, back over when we went over to Yorkshire.
Sermon Warrior, mate. The UK trip.
Remember that one? That was terrible, that trip. I don't know how I survived.
Oh, mate. It was I do remember being on parade over there, and I think one of the Malaysian generals had forgotten about or something, but like I'm not good at parade, mate, at the best of times. But that was one long parade. I think we were parade for like an hour and a half. It was like
yeah, that was ridiculous, that one. I remember that.
Mate, but what really good career. Tell us a little bit about Iraq.
Not much.
Were you with were you with the AMTG? Or were you
we were OBG 2. So Overwatch Battle Group West 2. So we're down at Talil, just outside our Nazaré, I think it is, in the USAF base there.
Yep.
Yeah.
What were your jobs in Afghan?
So Well, the first time I went over into a force insertion team, so I was the SSM for that, as well as the lead loggy. And then the second one was pretty much I won't use the term extraction, but we started drawing down. I was the lead for a small loggy team that started drawing down the Q store and the RPS as they started to put the base into retro.
Yeah. This was what, maybe 2017 or something in Tarankelt, was it? Or
12.
earlier, 2012.
Yeah, 2012.
All
Yeah.
right. This is when we're doing that thing that goes like, hey, we're not going to finish the war yet, but we're just going to take all our stuff out and start preparing. You know, please, enemy, don't look at us and don't watch what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, mate.
Yeah.
One thing I want to unpack. Hang on, just hold that thought for 1 second. Now, this is not prop, mate, but I do have to just get a little bit Andy Warner here. So for anyone listening, I've just had to grab the Akuba off the wall and stick it on. But I joined the army as a farmer late. Now, I didn't join until I was 30 and had my 31st birthday a week into the army. But tell us about your passion for the bush, mate. Because it was one thing that you and I always got on well with, is to have this connection with the non-city life. Tell us about your connection to the bush.
So I suppose it stems back to my old man. He grew up in a little town the other side of Mudgee, between Mudgee and Merriwall, called Cassilis. You know, population now is less than 300 people. So from probably the age of about 9 or 10 or maybe even 11, during the school holidays, I get packed up and be sent out there every term break. And I'm not sure whether that was because family thought I enjoyed it or they just wanted to get me the hell out of the house for 2 weeks. I'm not sure. But that's where it all started to fall in love. And then getting older, it was not so much the lifestyle. The lifestyle was a big one, but it's the feeling of belonging, I suppose, is another thing. You're in a small community again. There's issues there all the time. You get your own little the gossips and all that type of stuff going on, but it's that, for me, it's that laid back and the freedom and the room you've got out there as well. You know, you're not stuck within the city limits. You're not housed in, your gutters for your house isn't touching your next door neighbours. But then you can go up to the shop and you can spend half hour, 45 minutes having a chat with somebody you see in the street. You know, I think there's a tighter bond between the rural communities and what you get in the population. So that, for me, is probably one of the big draw cards. It's just, you can be yourself. There's no preconceived misconceptions of who you are just because of the way you dress. They take you at face value until you prove that you're not worthy.
Mate, growing up in Katoomba, we spent most of our life looking west rather than look west out to the country rather than looking east. So my family was, all out of Bathurst way, a little bit from Cassilis, but I remember, we had relatives out at Hill End and going out to Hill End, which is like these little remote little towns in the middle of nowhere. But that's actually that part of the world up near Cassilis. So, the edge of the sort of northern Blue Mountains, Wallamai National Park, it's stunningly beautiful country. Yeah, and if you ever take that drive, from sort of Mudgee or Candice or Ralston, sort of up through a place called Sandy Hollow, which is not far from Cassilis on the Newcastle Road. It's just absolutely gorgeous country out there, mate. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And even down towards Bathurst, like we used to go up to Cassilis for the rodeo at the beginning of every year. And then the rodeo date changed. So we decided we'd still go camping that weekend, but we ended up at Safala.
Yeah.
Magic right place. On the river there. Beautiful.
Yeah. The old gold country, and those little towns, a lot of people don't know that they're, I don't know when the dates were, maybe 1830 or something like that. It was like 50 and 70,000 people in Safala and Hill End and these places as they're digging for mines. And nowadays, digging for gold, but nowadays there's like, maybe Hill End's got a couple of hundred, Safala might have a couple of hundred, but just to think the sheer amount of people out there at that time. But, and coming back to rodeos, mate, if you're listening and you've never been to a rodeo, oh man, you're missing out. You're missing out. Like, even if you're a city slicker and you want to take the kids or the family out to something that they will never forget, you'll actually be welcomed out there. Don't try and tuck your shirt in and have your belt buckle and go buy a pair of RMs just for the day. Potentially get some second rodeo clothing on, but it will be one of the best fun times your family can have, mate. Just real good people, big night, and some guys and girls and some kids that show some real grit.
Yeah, yeah. I had some skill sets out there on when they're on those backs. It's unreal.
The Broncos, mate,
Yeah.
ridiculous. Yeah, the Bulls are one thing, but the Broncos, mate, you don't see too many Bronco riders with teeth. Excuse
No,
me, Bronco
no,
riders.
not really. No.
Actually, it reminds me of a bit of a funny story, and I want to get this guy on here. There's a guy called Brian Rance. He grew up in Katoomba with us, but he was like world champion rodeo clown
Oh yeah.
over in the States for a long time. And, so he left Katoomba, did heaps of work over there, then went into, did time as a soldier. And anyway, that's a story for another story. Back to Andy Warner. What made you want to get out of the army, mate, after, 25 years?
Yeah. Where do
I know that
start?
I'd left the unit, so it was a long downhill run. You didn't have meter rag on, so what was left?
Oh, look, there's plenty other contenders, mate. Don't you worry about that. So when we left 17 Brigade, because I can't remember, we left the same year, I think.
Pretty well. That would have been like 212 or something like that.
Something like that. Maybe a little
13.
bit later. Yeah. I just like there's a whole heap of different things that sort of happened at once. And it's sort of like, the army was changing. The way that they, I won't say managing, but the way that we weren't able to negotiate at some stages what our career path was going to be, especially as a warrant officer class 1. It's you should be able to at least have discussions with your career reps as to what you think is good for you and not just what they believe, especially when they're not wearing the same hat badge. But then I also had, probably from halfway through 17 Brigade posting, I had this feeling that the ship was leaving, and I was getting really worried that I was going to miss it. So there was that, as well as I didn't enjoy putting a uniform anymore. I lost that. I lost that love for it. I lost that excitement I used to get. And it may have something to do with the last unit I was in, but I'd see the boys on the weekend out at Holsworthy wearing the uniforms. My stomach would just start to turn. I'm like, I don't want to be doing this for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, I've given it all my adult life. If I retire when I get to 65, and then I've got enough time to start another civilian career. So, yeah, decided to go active after that.
Mate, she's a fair contribution doing 25 years from 18 or 19-year-old, but you're still, well and truly young enough to do whatever you want next. And I just want to shout out that too. Like, it's no small effort getting to, warrant officer class 1, and I'm actually really surprised that there isn't a little bit more respect for that seniority, or maybe it's just Army's way of saying, see you later, mate. You got to move on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, mate, tell us about how you got out of the Army now. You bounced around and did quite a bit of stuff back in the defense industry. I want to fill the gap now between then and Veteran Workforce Solutions, which I really want to get into.
Yeah, okay. So I'll keep it the abridged version. So when I got out, I applied for a job. Well, I was made aware of a role with Rolls-Royce Australia as their supply support manager on the LHDs. Interesting sidebar. Went through the interview, got a phone call, and their recruiting was done in over in Philippines or somewhere like that. And I couldn't understand the young lady that was on the other end. I came this close to saying, no, you've got the wrong number, and hanging up. Yeah, that was them ringing to tell me that I'd won the job. But hang on, what did you say, Rolls-Royce? So we were there when the LHDs got commissioned and brought up from Melbourne, so Canberra and Adelaide. So did a good couple of years with them. Did some project work.
Just on that note, after spending a career in the Army, what was it like now working as a civvy for Navy?
I'll tell you what, you want to go on a J curve, mate. That was unreal. Part of the issue was I was still internally, I was still wearing the slide rank, right? I was still wearing my rank slide. So I'd come in all low one, going to run the place. It sort of, because I'd never worked with Navy before, it was different understanding the way that they think. We all wear a uniform, but every service, and you would have seen this, every service thinks differently. They act differently. Not only do they do things differently, but they expect different things as well. So having come from 25 years and then trying to learn what Navy's doing, as well as trying to learn what a civilian should be doing, and then a civilian within the defence industry, It was entertaining times.
Yeah. You mentioned a little bit about letting go of the rank. How do you feel you did adapt?
Oh, that took me a while, that one.
Because, again, WO1 is a serious achievement.
Yeah.
And it comes with status and recognition and a deserved recognition. And now I don't want to say, now you just, what role were you hired into? Were you hired into a leadership role, or were you hired into a regular role? No, so you were a leadership role.
Yeah. So I had 3 reports under me. Well, I had three other people reporting to me. 2 of them were ex-Army, which made it easy. The other one was ex-Navy, which made it a little bit more difficult because they're not as rigid or as strict in their command structures as what we are as well. And I get it. I understand it because they're living in a compartment together, right? And you can't be all yes sir, no sir, or yes corporal, no corporal when you're sharing a bunk. So I get that there's a breakdown in that rank structure sort of thing to an extent. But that was something that I had to learn to get my head around and manage a little bit better than what I was at the time. Yeah.
So Rolls-Royce, what's next?
Rolls-Royce. Then I went down to Canberra for the S7000 project, which was introducing maritime patrol and reconnaissance aircraft, where they swapped out the old, I can't remember what they were, but they had 4 propellers on them to a Boeing 747, I think it was.
Yeah.
So I introduced the mission support system that was sitting on the ground. It was pretty much, Andy, you're ex-Army, this stuff's going intense, you go do it. The Air Force project. So that was pretty cool. So that then taught me the Air Force side of things as well, because working side by side with them. Again, that was another learning curve. And then from there, got tapped on the shoulder to go work for a Spanish shipbuilding company.
Mate, I don't know if you realize, but a little while ago you were talking about not wanting to be in the uniform, like had enough. But like a moth to the flame, mate, you're still in defense industry. You're still talking to all these people. Is that, do you think, a reflection of your supply chain skills and what you did as a supply chain manager in Army? And it was just a direct reflection across, or is there some kind of other intrinsic values thing that's just kept you connected to defense industry?
I think there's 2 parts to that. The first one is because I can talk the talk and walk the walk, right? So I understand the defense supplies mechanisms, everything else that goes along with that. But you also get dragged into what you know as well, right? That I've been trying to get out of defense industry for 10 years now. But
get out of it,
yeah. But I can't because...
Well, mate, what a better change than going to working with veterans then, mate. Just do something totally different.
Yeah, I know, right?
try something totally new, mate.
But in my head, it is different because I'm not working directly to Commonwealth, right?
Yeah.
I'm supporting working through the companies to support the veterans. But
whatever. Moth to the flame, mate.
Shut up! It's working for me. Leave it alone. So it's
good.
You get dragged across because it's what you know and what you're good at. Been doing, like you said, 25 years, and then pretty much that's all I know in that aspect, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Well, mate, let's get into Veteran Workforce Solutions, because I'm really excited, number one, to see you doing this, to see you after, 35 years of working for other people, whether that be the nation or working for, other companies, but to be doing your own thing, running your own show. But again, I take the piss, but sticking in a place where you have expertise, passion, and knowledge. So tell us, what is Veteran Workforce Solutions?
All right. So Veteran Workforce Solutions is another, it's not just another mechanism to support veterans. And everybody's getting veteran support. Everyone wants to do veteran support, and we're going to target the individual. Where we come in, we're going to come in and enable the employer to be able to better understand what supporting a veteran needs or what it means. So we'll come in and we'll have a look at their HR processes, their administration processes, their commitments to being a veteran employer of choice, for example. We'll go through, we'll identify opportunities to enhance that will then be able to then allow them to better support and better understand what the veteran needs within the workplace. So we're not just helping one at a time. We're potentially getting, anywhere from 5 to 10 to 20, depending on how many they've got in the company.
I think what's really important about this now is I think the Veteran Employment Program has done a great evolution in there. I think initially it was like a veteran employment commitment, which is like basically a token. Hey, yeah, we'll do it. But whether we do it or not is, something separate. I believe now there's a couple of tiers in the program. But being a veteran employer of choice is not just about, some thin veneer. There is actually some substance within the company, within the policies of the company, that not only actively look to, pursue and hire veterans, but to look after them where we're there. And that's where you step straight in.
Yeah, pretty much. So not try and, but have the businesses or the companies put some actual weight behind it. Because the term that pops into my head is veteran cladding or vet cladding. So they'll tick that box saying they're doing that veteran support, but they'll do that only just to win the contract or to look good on PR. Well, what I want them to do is actually put some weight behind that and put that into an actual foundation as opposed to just a veneer. I like that word you used, actually. That was a good one.
That's okay. I'll give you that one. Because again, let's just talk about the program Veteran Employment Commitment. There's 3 levels. You've got the Veteran Employment Supporter. Great. Well done. Thumbs up for that one. You've got Veteran Friendly Employer, which now is a lot more demonstrating about the things that you're doing as a business. I'm talking to the business owners here. But Employer of Choice is the duck's nuts. And so particularly if you're a veteran employment supporter or a veteran-friendly employer, using Veteran Workforce Solutions is a very simple way for you to achieve that employer of choice recognition. Mate, you mentioned veteran cladding before. There's a couple of things here. So the first of all is I was absolutely stoked to be in Queensland last week when they announced the veteran procurement. Oh, sorry, go back. It is this document here. I've got it in my hand. If you're listening to it, it's called the Queensland Procurement Policy of 2026. And for the first time ever in Australia, what was super exciting was veteran-owned businesses and veteran businesses who employ veterans are now more favorably weighted when it comes to winning contracts. And this is where something like Veteran Workforce Solutions really is able to step in to be able to demonstrate when you're going for those bids, substance, not just words. Mate, have you got any... Well, let me go back a step. In your experience, working in some of those big firms, what did being a veteran mean to those firms? And did you see anything they were doing well or could be improved in your period out of defence?
So I'll go with the worst case scenario, and I won't mention names. No names, no pactorials here. But there was one company I worked for that claimed to have they were being veteran friendly, or they've got a veteran community. So week one, found out who the veteran rep is, or who the company rep is for the veterans. Reached out to him, started explaining to him everything that I was doing or everything that I had done, and he sort of cut the meeting short. And I reached out to him a couple of days later and said, look, I want to do something. Can you tell me how many veterans we've got so we can start planning, some sort of community gathering for the veterans? They couldn't tell me how many veterans they had on the employ. Now, I get that some of the ex-service don't want to, and this is another thing that really concerns me, they don't want to announce that they are a veteran. It's like it's going to be detrimental to their workplace, or I'm not sure the exact reason why, but it should be loud and proud. We should be telling everybody we're a veteran. Stick it to the world. But the company couldn't tell me how many veterans they had. And that's when I started thinking as well. And well, we need to know that. We need to capture that demographic. We are special people, right? You have a look at, even if you've only done 10 years or 5 years, there's still a level of indoctrination that's happened to you. And there's still a process that needs to happen for you to actually not forget that you're in uniform, but to actually fit better, be able to handle that transition from uniform into civilian life much easier. So we've got a program, but I can't tell you how many veterans we got. I don't want to talk to anybody about any possible community gatherings. I haven't seen, and I follow this particular company, and they haven't released anything for what they're doing for veteran support in the last, be good 18 months.
Well, mate, why this is important, and I'll go back to two pieces of, I guess, what do you call it, policy. But I'm going to read a quick line. Oh, sorry, the Defence Forces policy for industry participation. So this document, which was written in 2019, it is literally the Defence Policy for Industry Participation, mentions veterans 3 times. Now, to be a procurer of choice or to participate in the defence industry, you're supposed to demonstrate how you employ and engage Australia's veterans with Australian industry. Okay, so that statement is repeated 3 times through that document. So we do have companies out there, if they're putting out there that they are employing and engaging with Australian veterans, and one of the simplest ways to do that is to sign the DVA recognition, employer of choice, and all of that kind of stuff. Well, again, coming to you is a simple solution how you can actually make that legitimate and not just a thin veneer. Now, I'll also read out, and again, I don't mean to be too flippant to the crowd in reading this bit with the social procurement piece, but for years, we at the veteran business community have been lobbying hard, both the federal government, any state government, basically anyone will listen about why veteran procurement is so important, and how to create that demand. So, look, as I find this page here, wherever it be in social procurement, but Queensland is the first one to do it. I've spoken to probably 3 or 4 different state governments over the last couple of years, and I've been like, can you be the first? What is it going to take for someone to do this from a first perspective? What's fantastic now is we've had the first. So my challenge for any other state government, and one day even the federal government, is the first bus has sailed. You're not going to be the first. Queensland's the first, but you're going to be the last.
Yeah.
Now, who's going to be the last state or territory or federal government that's actually going to recognize, veterans as a meaningful, positive part of supply chain? Now, the Queensland procurement policy, this statement means everything to me. It's not a definitive quota or a target, like the Indigenous policy have, where it's meet 5% of targets, but it says in order to be to agree with purposeful public procurement, businesses must increase spend in Queensland suppliers that are owned by veterans or employ veterans or support veteran transition from the ADF to civil employment. Okay, so this document here, which is worth $35 billion over the next however many years for the Queensland government, finally recognises the value of veteran-owned businesses in that supply chain. And mate, I just think you've got a fantastic opportunity to work with big corporate to help them, not just be a veneer, to actually put substance behind it. But outside of the policy stuff, the bit where you're helping them set up, you're helping write the policy and program, what's some of the fundamental, I guess, is benefits or effects on the actual veteran here, and what can you do to literally support them at their day-to-day rather than the company?
Yeah. So, and that's a good question. And one of the things I found going through my transition was I didn't know who I could speak to within the company, right? I didn't really have a network I could use or I could bounce off straight away. And not everybody wants to speak to a counsellor, wants to speak to a padre or a psych if they just got some questions. You don't want to be ringing HR all the time, because then you worry about becoming a nuisance. But the systems and processes we want to in place will then be able to enable not only the managers, but also the veterans, so they can know where they're going to go to, who they need to speak to. And if they are not sure, they can always ring me or one of the case managers, and we can point them in the right direction straight away. So we're sort of like building a bit of a community for them, but just for that workplace solution stuff. The other bit as well is one of the things that I found going through this journey was that if you're not happy in the company, even though you're happy doing the work, if you don't feel comfortable there, if you don't have a safe environment for your transition activities, you're potentially going to look for work elsewhere. And that increases the stresses as well. So by doing this, we're going to hopefully it's not a mission verb, I know. We're going to build a safer environment within the workplace so that they can actually stay in jobs that they're happy to do.
And most importantly for the company as well, the company who is actively or saying they're actively seeking, the veteran workforce, because of the skills, the character and the traits that they have, is that they can actually keep them. And if they keep them, then it's not only the cost of churn and burn and recruitment and all of that, but all great teams come from a level of consistency and come from time and from working together. And it's great business to keep these people in the business.
Yep.
Mate, one of the things I'd love to work with you on in the future is supporting procurement and supply chain investment by veteran-owned businesses into these large companies, because now finally we've got this sort of two-pronged approach. I've always, I think we do have good support for people transitioning, getting jobs. Once they're in those jobs, I think that's where you really, step in. Some companies have great internal veteran programs, and you might have like some key staff members, as an extra regimental, pulling this stuff together. But for a lot of companies who either can't afford to do that or can't resource it with that, this is where you step into the breach and just solve that problem.
Yep.
100%. So, mate, who should be speaking to you?
Everyone.
Well, I would suggest for a start, if you've signed up to any of those 3 tiers of the veteran employment commitment, and you want some assurance or some compliance, or you want to actually measure the bang for your buck that you can get out of it, that'd be a good start.
Yep. The other bit to put on that as well is we're not actually targeting those who are already in defence industry. If you are in defence industry and you want to go up those tiers, by all means, give us a call. We're not racist or anything like that. We'll take you through that journey, and we'll help you get to that tier level you want to go to. But our primary focus is those that are not currently in defence industry. They may be employing veterans, but they don't have that defence industry network to be able to build off or work from. So by getting there and helping those that, if they want to get into defence industry or if they just want to grow their veteran workforce, I think they're the ones that'll benefit a lot as well from what we're doing.
Yeah, I really see what the work you're doing is like a combat multiplier or greasing the wheels, or it's one thing. And again, I'll come to this point. It's one thing to make these statements and to talk about what you're going to do, but actions over words. And you're really going to help a company deliver the actions, not just the rhetoric around the top of it.
Yeah. We're a force multiplier, pretty much.
Yeah, mate. So, what's next for you outside of Veteran Workforce Solutions? What are you doing in the world? When's your next radio one?
I don't know yet. I haven't been to one for a while. I was going to go to the one down in Yass, but I just can't fit it in. These weekends are getting terrible. No, I try and get out and go fishing or at least camping. Try and get out at least once a month, get away. But the rest of it at the moment is getting this thing off the ground.
Mate, have you got a swag still?
I have progressed to a tent.
A tent, mate.
I got a tent with I've still got a swag, but I put that on a swag platform. It's not a stretcher; it's a swag platform, and that goes inside the tent.
And if you put a swag with a hoochie over, it's virtually a tent anyway, isn't it?
I'd get a fucking rash if I touch a hoochie now, mate.
Well, talking about getting rashes, I was one of these unfortunate people that used to I used to get allergies and stuff, and before we go bush, I used to literally get allergic to my kit. This is how much of a full pogue I am, man. Listen, this is pogue, literally called pogitis. I'd pull out the old the old marching order and pull what was it called, the comfy num that hadn't been pulled out of the pack for 3 months, start wheezing and coughing and spluttering, and oh mate, I was allergic to bush. Terrible soldier, no good at all.
No comment.
Mate. Well, look, I'm actually rapt to see you on this journey. Now we've been mates for a good few years now. I can't endorse the person behind this business more. Andy, like not only apart from a little glitch of leaving God's Corps to go across to Ordnance Corps,
I had no choice, man. Come on.
Come on, man. So you finally found your home. You never really rang me, mate. So no, but for anyone out there, if you want to put some substance behind your veteran employment commitment, if you want it to be more than just rhetoric and, actually use it as an advantage in your competitive tendering processes, because you can actually use it. You should be using this as either application of the defence industry participation guidelines or the Queensland procurement policy. This can now, supporting veterans and veteran-owned businesses can now be a strategic advantage in winning work. So put some, bang where your buck is and get someone like Andy in to actually do a good job and not just make it a thin veneer of rhetoric. So, mate, we always seem to catch up, unfortunately.
Yeah, well,
for here or there. Whether it be whether it be land forces next or Indo-Pacific or hopefully not in the street, mate. But it's always a pleasure to catch up with you.
Yeah, thanks, Pete. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, good on you, mate. Radio. I'm going to wrap there for this episode of the Veteran Business Community Podcast. As I said, I'd never say this to his face, but he is a good bloke and he is pretty sincere. And
mate,
more importantly,
here, I'm still here.
Oh, you're still here. I thought I'd cut you off and cut the microphone off. Now, look, I can't endorse Andy more for the work that he's doing, not only coming from a place of purpose, but a place of skill and competence. And, if you want to put some bang behind your buck on your veteran engagement policy, get in touch with Veteran Workforce Solutions. Radio. My name's Pete Liston. This is another episode of the Veteran Business Community Podcast. Out.